Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 22nd day of February 2021. It's a Monday, a moon day, and I done this once. I got, about 10 minutes in and it decided to freeze, and that's after rebooting, so I don't know. We're in the shadow of the Mercury retrograde. The thing about Mercury retrograde is you have a beginning, a pre-retrograde shadow, and a post-retrograde shadow. So we're in the post-retrograde shadow now. So I don't know what accounts for it happening to me all the other times when we're not at all in Mercury retrograde at all, either in the beginning shadow or post shadow, but that's where we are right now. So if you're still experiencing some miscommunication or things like that, it's probably due to that. So just take a moment, take a step back, be sure, continue that for another week, and then you'll be out of it. But anyway, let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the same cards and the same runes. Let's just do a little bit of housekeeping, though, before we start. If this is your first time here, this is kind of what I do. I chat a little bit. Kind of bringing everybody up to speed, what's on the blog, what's on the YouTube channel. We did Esoteric Influences yesterday. Now that's up on the blog, both in post and video form. The videos, as you know, if you've been to my website, they're on the left side panel. Also, the newsletter went out yesterday. Again, sign up for that's over on the left side panel. I post over on Medium as well, and so you'll see the Esoteric Influences over there. I do another version of it for Patreon, which includes the video there on the post. So if you're a Patreon subscriber, thank you very much, by the way. You can sign up over there, by the way, for $1 a month or $12 a year if you want to see that stuff. And what I've been doing over there, and I think what I'm going to start doing now going forward, now that I've finally figured out what I want to do over there, I think I'm going to focus on rune divination. And so the rune divination I include in the magical forecast on Monday through Friday. I expand that because I just do a little blurb, just sort of say what it is, and I don't really get into it much. I'm going to do that over there on Patreon, where we're going to explore the runes a little more in depth. And so you'll get a better description of what the reading is all about over there. So if you want to sign up for Patreon, again, it's $1 a month or $12 a year. And I'd love you to do that. I'm just doing that to help defray blog costs, kind of the same thing I do with affiliate marketing. And that's why you see some ads and some linked words over there on my blog. It's just to help offset blog costs every year, because I do have them. And then, and the other thing that's over there, if you want to support the blog itself directly, you can do that. There's a PayPal tip teacup as opposed to a tip jar. I thought, well, I'm a witch. I like tea. I formulate teas, so let's do a teacup. And so anyway, if you want to do that, you can click on the link and it'll take you to the PayPal thing, and you can donate whatever you want. I don't have any set amounts. And so, $5, whatever, whatever you do. Doesn't matter. Just every little bit helps to sort of offset the blog costs. So anyway, that's enough of that. Let's see. Look for the daily astrology. There's going to be daily astrology over on Medium. I started that last week. That's going to be a regular occurrence, Monday through Friday at least. And then I cross-post the Esoteric Influences over there too. So look for that over there. So those are really the three places you can find me: the blog, Patreon, and Medium. So anyhow. And again, some stuff is just for each platform, and they don't get cross-posted. If it does, it's cross-posted from the blog. So there you go. Anyway. That's enough of that stuff. Today's rune is Alyi's. It represents the elk and protection. It can also represent the sedge, the type of grasses look, they don't just hang out in the woods. They like to hang out in marshy areas. I grew up in Alaska for part of my time there, and it wasn't so much elk that we had as we had moose, same sort of thing. They like to crash around in the woods, but they also like to be in the marshes. And sometimes they sink down because it's, watery and whatnot, and they'll go through all that, and you have all these grasses growing. Well, that's elk sedge. That's what they call it, one name for it. And realistically, it's all reedy and elaborate, so that it hides their antlers better. So that's kind of where they get the idea, and this kind of looks like the antlers of an elk. But it's also standing in supplication, drawing higher self-awareness down from spirit, or it hands up in supplication to the goddess, or something like that. But it's drawing air, fire, and water down into earth, if you look at it elementally. And so we're talking protection. We're talking drawing, drawing a message from spirit, the voice of spirit, into our daily life. On this 22-day, given that it's a master number, given that it's the cosmic builder, we're talking again profound soul level change or manifestation. So all ye's aligns very, very well with that particular energy today. We do have a missio, which is considered loss for the geomancy rune. So perhaps we're losing the ego. Perhaps it's talking ego loss. Now, its complement is acquisitio, which is gain, and that theoretically gives the notion of finances, but it doesn't have to. This can simply mean gain and loss of something, irrespective of what it was. Maybe you were in a difficult situation at work or something, and that resolved. So that could be a form of a missio. You let go of it. It's no longer affecting you. So it don't get too caught up in one interpretation of the geomancy runes, in other words, because really at its core is more of an energetic effect than anything else. And so, if we are in the 22 energy today, and we're doing there's profound soul level change, well, maybe we're losing the negativity that we were dealing with before. You're losing the deception from before, maybe. Two things I saw before I started this. One, Merrick Garland is being interviewed in his confirmation hearing. He will likely be our next Attorney General. And I was happy to see that he's bothered by the federal death penalty, and that he supports the moratorium that the last guy threw out the window and then killed a bunch of people at the end. Yeah, it disproportionately affects people of color. There's too many times where DNA stuff on old cases will resolve it and show that it wasn't them after all. Because of those things, it's difficult. He doesn't support necessarily the death penalty anymore. So, if he ever did, maybe he never did, I don't know. But he was a prosecutor, so maybe he did at one point. But at this juncture in his life, he doesn't, which tends to happen as you get older, I think, where you're not so willing to want to see that happen. You'd rather see something else happen. I don't know. But anyway, there's that. And then I guess the Manhattan DA gets the last guy's taxes. So that the Supreme Court's not even going to look at it. They kicked it back and said lower court ruling applies. That finally happened. They hung on, and no one was really sure, well, what are you doing that for? Are you trying to stop them just so you don't make an opinion? I said that to my husband last week, and so we were just kind of shaking our heads going, why haven't they ruled on this? Well, they did this morning, and so now we know that. So those two things alone on a 22-day is interesting. We'll just say that and leave it there. Now, the cards for today, I went ahead and I drew them. I've drawn 3 cards. We have a quart card and 2 majors, and so we're looking at a 3 energy for the whole thing. As to how they're going to actually sit here on the desk, I don't know yet. We're going to just talk about them first, and then we'll move them around and see where we need to begin. But we're talking first about the King of Wands. Now, again, we can, as I talked about when I started this the first time, I mentioned that especially it was in respect to geomancy, where it kind of reminds me of court cards in that there's so many ways you can look at the geomancy runes. Well, there are with the court as well. You can look at this as a man in authority. Or you can look at the qualities of it. So projective influence, that's authoritative or in leadership position, how you express yourself in authority, in a projective, assertive, or aggressive way. You could look at it that way. See his little salamander down there. That's the little elemental, if you will, for wands. You see the Ouroboros above on the back of his throne. You see you see dragons. You see, I believe you see a lion right there. It kind of looks like a lion. Do I have my, oh, I don't. Where is that? Oh, there it is. Sometimes my husband comes in here and takes my magnifying glass. But that's okay because he got this for me and it's supposed to light up. Yeah, that I thought that was a dragon. That's not. That's a those are both lions. And the Ouroboros is really the salamander kind of turned around and grabbing its own tail. Sometimes it's represented as a snake. Sometimes it's a serpent type of a creature, though. So in this case, it's a salamander. He's holding on to his staff, which is generally how they depict in the Rider-Waite anyway. The fire element in wands. Sometimes it's also in spears. Usually flame-tipped spears in other decks. But wands in the Rider-Waite are usually done with a staff. See some greenery coming out of it there. He's not looking you in the eye, you know. He's like the emperor that way, and other kings that way. He's but he's looking toward the past basically instead of going the other way. That would be the future. But even when they're facing the individual, the reader, they're still not looking you in the eye, which, you know, I happen to think is significant. But that's just me. So we're talking an authority figure, an older man. He's knowledgeable. He can be a wise counselor. He can be a warrior, but he can also be cruel and bigoted as well. So moving to the next card, we have the Fool. We see the Fool. Now the Fool's an androgynous individual. It's not yet taken its leap into form and in turn gender. But for the sake of discussion, let's just call him a him. It looks like a guy, but it might not be. He's got his knapsack over his shoulder. He's got a rose of purity, a white rose in his left hand, in his receptive side. Again, if you want to look at the staff itself, you've got the fire element represented there, holding his knapsack. You see the sun above. This is card 0, so we're talking unity and wholeness. So the Fool is in his whole state, or its own whole and unified state. Before the Fool takes the leap into form, you see the dog next to his side, ready to go. On the precipice of something new. Undeveloped potential is the Fool. Can be anything. The theme has likely been chosen and about to take the leap, and we don't know yet until the Fool leaps. That leap of faith into form. What the Fool's theme is going to be, or the gender, we don't know yet. So everything is about undeveloped potential here. Now, I think that this is starting to find its form. I think we're going to talk about how we express ourselves in a pushy way, how we do that, you know, from the standpoint of a position that's undeveloped, especially on a 22-day here. And then lastly, we have the Empress, mind, body, spirit, balance with the 3. 3's catalytic, so you see it. You see the sky is not blue; it's yellow. But the Empress, once we come past first we have the Fool, then we have the Magician. And then we have the High Priestess. And together, they are defining who we are. That's the defining who we are process. Once we take the leap, we go through those energies and into form. And when we do that, then basically we then manifest with the Empress. So in a sense, you know, you're talking the 22 energy here, even though we have a 3 and we don't have you know, we don't have a 22 because we don't have a 22. But this is what happens when you have you take the leap of faith, you build it with the you build the whole body and the whole mindset and the purpose and all of that with the magician and the high priestess, and then you have the Empress. She gives birth to the world. It's a Birkenau experience in a way. You see trees in the background. You see her beautiful crown of stars. She's holding a scepter in one hand. You see the shield with Venus. The shield shaped is in the shape of a heart. And you see the glyph for Venus, or love and beauty, harmony, balance. Balance implied by that 3. Now she has the courage to look at us straight in the eye, though, doesn't she? The men don't. I mean, I'm serious. Look at the traditional decks. Rider-Waite, Morgan Greer. I don't know so much on Morgan Greer. I got to double check that. But very often they don't look you in the eye. Only she does. High Priestess would if she'd open her eyes, but she's praying, and aligning in spirit, so she doesn't need to. I don't know. I can't remember, though, in the Rider-Waite if her eyes are closed, but I know in other decks they are. Maybe they're the non-traditional ones. I don't remember, but I use both. I like the Wildwood Tarot the most, and I like the Heindel Tarot the most, and I also and there you have actual people on them, but the one that I find that I really react to, though, the best, I think, is the Thoth Tarot, because of its energetic quality. That it's more abstract, and so it although definitely you interpret it in the same way as you would regular cards, there's a feeling about it that I like, and I love what Lady Frida Harris did in Crowley's deck. I just think it's beautiful. So anyway, so the Empress, we're looking at love, fertility, the mother aspect of the goddess, the mother principle, womb, abundance. It's the receptive side of self. It involves beauty and success. So to me, to most tarot readers, the major arcana, they're soul archetype cards. And so they're there to be our overarching guidance in terms of our life. The small cards are about the nuts and bolts and the details, really, the deets of our lives, as opposed to, the principles of our lives. And so when you talk about the Fool, you're talking about taking that leap into form and into undeveloped potential. And so the king should be able to go either way here. He should know when to assert himself and when not to. And so maybe instead of, maybe getting out of the way of the people in his employ and letting them do their work. So let's just talk about this from the standpoint of a supervisor at work, because I think from there you can extrapolate it into other kinds of examples. But say you're a supervisor at work. Are you the type of supervisor that sees things from the pyramid structure where you're the most important person at the top? Or do you invert the pyramid and have it do this, where it's your people that are the most important factor in the business? Because without the people, sure, they need your guidance. Maybe you're the owner, maybe you're not. But they need a supervisory guidance because they need to know what they're supposed to be doing there, right? But then you need to get out of their way and let them do it. So you hire great people. Or you hire people that are capable of learning what you need to do, that will then become the sort of people you can leave on their own, give them the mandate, give them the job description and say, here you go, now make it happen. Which are you? If you're somebody that can't, basically govern that way or legislate that way or supervise that way, if that's not possible and you do need a more hands-on type of experience, what are you? How do you do that? Do you see the undeveloped potential in other people? Can you recognize that there are times when you have to supervise one way and supervise another way? Or are you simply the authoritarian that sees things through one type of lens? Okay. And so I think that what we need to do, we can extrapolate this down into our lives, where we can say, how do we see our experiences? Do we see them through one lens where we have to control everything? Or are we able to sit back and take a look at the situation and see, okay, do I need to be flexible here, or should I take a different tone there? Something in terms of how you assert yourself. Excuse me. And then one way to do it is to be able to look people directly in the eye in honesty and truth. Are you doing that? Or are you doing what this could be misconstrued, or this could be construed as not looking you in the eye is, I'm looking off into my own thing, and I don't want anybody to know what that is. You certainly can't see what he's looking at. So maybe there's some behind the scenes deceptive type of nonsense that you, in your supervisory role with others, you don't want to tell people. So maybe there's an ulterior motive for what your business is doing that day, and you don't want anybody to know, but you still want them to do it. Okay? So there's lots of things that this can encompass. But in terms of how you assert yourself, understand that there's various ways to do it, and it really depends upon the circumstance as to what that is. So don't get so stuck in one way, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Leave room for the birth of new ideas, both from yourself and from others under your supervision. Do things express yourself in harmony and shared purpose with others. In other words, keep everybody on the same page. Are you able to do that? Because if you're not, maybe it's your method of delivery, and that's why. If you are unable to express yourself to others in any other way other than some type of an authoritarian way, and people aren't reacting well to you, well, maybe that's why. Maybe you need to recognize that there's other ways of doing things, that there's undeveloped potential yet to be explored in how you assert yourself, in how you interact with others, and maybe putting a little Earth Mother into it might be the way to go. To approach people in a more loving manner than maybe, and actually see them instead of looking away. Got to be able to look people in the eye. They got to be able to assess whether or not you're telling the truth, whether or not you're on the level, whether or not they can trust you. If you don't look them in the eye, they can't trust you. So maybe the emissio that we're talking about is losing some of that rigidity or need for control. You know, maybe that's what this is about this week, drawing information down from spirit. And maybe on this 22 day, maybe this is a really big deal to let go of control that you know, you can't really have a whole lot of integrity about, because you can't look anybody in the eye about it. It's kind of like, do as I say, not as I do. My mother used to say that. It's like, and it didn't matter. I mean, I think I was 3 when I started, you know, questioning. And she would say this, and she said it my whole life, and eventually when I was older, she'd say it and laugh, because she knew already the things I would be saying to her. Because it would be, well, yeah, but what if you're wrong? A wee one. What if you're wrong, Mom? What if you tell me to do something that doesn't work out? So, well, you know, witchlings. Anyway, the point is that I suspect my granddaughter is the same way, and it's joyful to hear some of the things my son says about her. She went in. She was 2.5, and she went into her room, and he went in to check on her. And she was not happy about something, and he knew it. And so he told me, and we did it on a Zoom call, so he showed me. He went in there, and he says, "Are you okay? How you doing? How's it going?" That's usually, he says, "How's it going?" That's what he always says. "How's it going?" And so, I mean, to his 2-year-old, "How's it going?" And she says, "You see this face, Dad? You see this face?" Yeah. I'm angry, Dad. I'm angry. And when I tried not to laugh because, but anyway, it's that transition, where kids start asserting themselves, but anyway. But anyhow, that's the whole thing. How we assert ourselves to others matters. And I think today, what this is telling us is that we have a way to re-look at that and to make sure that we're looking one another in the eye, that we're not, trying to deceive anybody as to what our ulterior motives or a hidden purpose might be, and that we have the undeveloped potential to move in harmony with other people. But to do that, we have to do it with honor and integrity and dignity, maybe a little more than the King of Wands possesses. So anyway, so I guess that's it. I'll write this down and we'll talk again. I'll remind everybody about it on Thursday when we meet again. And we'll see if we can either turn a corner or maybe see something that's happening as a result of this shift in perception where, maybe we consider harmony instead of pushing our weight around all the time. And we'll see where we go on Thursday with this. So thanks so much for coming by and spending this time with us. And, again, we're talking about all use today, and this also means protection. So wear a mask if you go out around anyone at all, whether you're inside or out. It doesn't matter. Virus can be shed no matter where you are. Have a mask on. Follow CDC guidelines. Make it 2. We're using a KN95 now and a black surgical mask over that. They're both black. You can get them in black, so that's cool. And it's witchy, so of course that's what we got. And then we're also wearing a face shield when we're out and about at the grocery store. So anyhow, and we also wear latex gloves. We also spray everything down. I spray a wash rag and I wipe everything down with alcohol solution before we bring it in. So we're still taking all the precautions that were recommended in the beginning because we're old and we don't want to get sick. So, and we haven't had our vaccines yet. So anyway, we're not getting a whole lot over where we are right now. There's only so many that are coming into the area. So they're really focusing on certain people right now. And that's fine. So we'll continue to do what CDC recommends. We'll continue to Fauci and follow what he says. And when he says we don't have to, then we'll probably continue to follow it for a little while longer because we're, again, old and paranoid. So anyway, thanks so much, you guys. We'll see you on Thursday. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. And blessed be.